Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Welcome to the Fly With Us podcast. This podcast is bringing the art of conversation, self-love, self-care, mental health care and protection, love lessons, life lessons, and everything in between. Today, we're going to talk about Think Like a Leader. I'm Lady Bounce.
And I am Picket Fence.
All right, you got the Mindfulness Minute. What are we talking about today?
Love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive. That's bar one. Also, want to add this. For we are made for cooperation, like feet, like hands, like eyelids, like the rows of the upper and lower teeth. To act against one another is then contrary to nature, and it is acting against one another to be vexed and to turn away. So that second bar is really hitting when we talk about leadership. Because when we talk about leadership, you have to be a good enough leader that your people under you want to follow and cooperate with you and work with you and not against you. And you can't be a leader that works against the people that you're leading.
So you've had jobs, careers, if you will. Tell me about some of the leaders you've had that one, this is a two-part question. The leaders that you wanted to follow and the leaders you wanted to run from.
Whew. I'll start with the good ones. And I think the good leaders that I've had that are people that are informed on their job, people that know how to do their job. And if they don't know how to do the job, they depend on you with not an authoritarian state, but with the necessity state. They treat you like they're needed because they value your knowledge to help them to be a better, effective leader. And then I've had leaders that were just horrible. They never listened. They thought their way was the way, and they might not even know the job fully themselves. I've had leaders that always passed the buck, just dished out jobs that they should be doing, even though you may have a full plate of stuff that you're doing. They want you to do their work too. And they thought that that was leadership. But that's not leadership. That's faking the funk. That's pretend. That's just, I'm in this job just so I could get more money. Not that I'm an effective leader or I know how to lead or I deserve to be a leader. And in those situations, it's always a horrible situation for the company and the people serving under that person.
Now, when you talk about, ineffective leaders, is it separated by gender, races? Is it age? Is age a factor? Okay, is age a factor? Gender, race of the boss, are any of those factors in making someone an effective leader? And the leaders that you've dealt with, has there been a difference in those things?
I think that those things can be factors. In my case, I've never had a problem with age. Most of my leaders were, at least a few years older than me, and their age didn't affect their being able to have knowledge of the job. But I have seen situations in other departments where they have a leader that doesn't have the skills when it comes to technology to be an effective leader because they couldn't go into the computer and needs to be done or do what needs to be done with the computer or the software that the company operates on, so that they were affected that way. And then instead of coming as to the people under them in a necessity state, they come into them as a demanding state or a passing the buck state, and that makes it bad. Gender, I've never had a problem working under an opposite gender. black or white or anything else. I know that we see a lot of times on social media, and we talked about it before, is it seems like there can be in a workplace that it can be hard to work for a black female. I've heard that a lot, and I posted that a couple of weeks ago asking the question. A lot of people, hey, it's not about race, blah, 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 blah. So I guess those people have not heard those things, but I've heard that a lot over the years. I've had 2 black female supervisors, and they were both cool. They were both dope. They both knew the job. Like I said, they weren't that much older than me, so technology didn't make them deficient. I had a white female leader for a supervisor at one point in time, and she was one of those people that was, it's my way or the highway, and demanding and real forceful and offset, like, I am the leader, I am not your co-worker. And it made it a tense situation. And I think that one thing that I didn't see people when they were commenting on my post is, if it is a situation of having difficulties with a female leader or a black female leader, is why. And I think a lot of those times that we've known for millennial now how women are treated in the workplace, with gender bias. And to me, I think some of those females try to really, I don't know what the word is, really show that I'm the boss because of those past experiences. They want to show you, I'm not taking no mess. I'm the leader, I'm forceful. And you don't have to be that. What you have to do is get to know your employees that work under you and see if they're the type of people that don't respect female leadership. But a lot of times they come out with guns blazing, and that will turn your employees away from you quicker than anything, than your gender, your race, or anything. If you're being we're not going to jail, because I'm cool. I'm a chill person. I want to chill. I do my work. I do the work I'm supposed to do. No, I don't want to do a lot of other people's work, especially if they're getting off scot-free. And I've had that situation before too, where like there was a manager, supervisor, and then there were clerks, which I was a clerk. And a lot of the supervisors didn't know jack how to do their job. So they would come to the clerks like, hey, I need you to do this, I need you to do that. And they weren't doing anything. They were just standing around or being out in the field hiding or whatever, because they didn't have to do the work that they were supposed to do. So how about you? Have you had a lot of female leaders, black, white, or either way? And how has it been for you working under a female leader, black or white?
Okay, so in my field, which is education, it is already a female-dominated field. There are more women in education than men. That is a statistic that we're trying to change by, coming up with programs for black males in college to go into the field of education. But until the tides turns and it's more easily matched, it is a female-dominated field. So with that being said, I have had the luxury of working for some really awesome male principals. If I had to choose a male or a female principal, I'll choose a male principal any day of the week. Race isn't necessarily a factor, but I prefer, I guess, a black male principal. One reason for that is they see the field of education differently. They are able to relate to our students in a way that sometimes their white counterparts cannot. I believe that our young boys need to see black men who are professional, who, dress up nicely and wear their pants above their waist. They need to see that in a role model. Now, as it relates to a black male principal doing his job, first of all, as a people, we're just cool. We just are. But black male principals are much more laid back. I've been given freedom, if you will, to do my job and do it my way. As long as my students are achieving, how I got there doesn't matter. So they're less on You have to follow steps 1, 2, 3, and 4. You got to go in this order. And if you don't, then you're doing it wrong. Well, I might do step 5 and 6 and go back to number 1, crisscross 3 and 4, but the outcome is still the same. And a lot of male principals, because they have so much other stuff on their plate to deal with and contend with, that they don't take the time to micromanage their employees. And I love that. I don't want to be micromanaged. The way that my brain works and the way that the brain of most of my students work is that we do need that freedom, that autonomy to do what we need to do, as long as the outcome is, what it's supposed to be. So when it comes to female bosses, female principals, they are micromanagers. They tend to be a little snotty, if you will, petty. They come in, like you said, with guns blazing before you've even walked in the door to say, "Hi, my name is Jamie and I'm going to be your principal." It's do this, do that, do that. We're going to have this meeting. It's going to be my way. This is how we're going to run the school. And you walked into a whole learning organization that was already functioning before you got here. You didn't take the time to get to know us, to know who we are, besides knowing our names on a piece of paper, to see what it is that we bring to the table before you started trying to exert your will. And so for me, being this free spirit that I am, I find that kind of leadership very hard to work under. I don't want to be told what to do. I don't want to sit with you every day and be given a list of 20 or 30 things to do that either you don't want to do, you don't have time to do, or things that you just feel I should be doing for whatever reason. And because I've always been a why kind of child or a why kind of person, if you can't tell me why I'm doing this, it's going to make me less apt to want to do whatever it is that you're telling me to do. In the same way that our students are, when I'm teaching something, before I start to teach it, I tell the students why they're going to learn it. I tell them why it's important. I tell them why they need to know it, as opposed to just saying, this is the skill you're going to learn today and you're going to just learn it because I said so. People deserve to be told why. People want to be told why. And you get more buy-in when you seem as though you're trying to function as a servant leader versus just a leader. One of the things that I learned while I was in college is that good leaders know how to follow. You can't be a good, effective leader if you don't know how to follow, or if you feel like you're so high and mighty that you don't have to follow, then that's going to be a problem for the people that you want to follow you. And while I recognize that for Black women in this world, it's hard. It's been hard. It's been hard for Black people in general. But with that being said, just because it was hard on you to get to where you are doesn't mean you have to be hard on the people under you. You don't have to pass that hardness, that meanness, that stubbornness, that hate sometimes that you've experienced. You don't have to pass that on to us. We don't need, that kind of a shared experience, if you will. While I apologize that the glass ceiling exists and it just has cracks in it and it hasn't been broken yet, but that's not my burden to bear as it relates to you or working for you or working under you. It's like when you go to be in a relationship, you can't punish the new person for the woes and the hurt and the pain you've experienced from the last person. So if you're a leader and you're walking into a new situation, you need to come in a little humble, come in a little quiet, come in a little chill, get the lay of the land, and see if the people you're leading need that kind of leadership that you just came in the door blazing with. Because you may find that if you take the time to talk to your employees, that they don't even need that kind of leadership out of you. So then you can relax. You can be a little more laid back. Your staff is going to be more laid back. And if you're in a field like mine of education, for principals, if you treat your teachers right, then they're going to do right by your students tenfold, because it tends to trickle downhill. So if you're in my neck all day long, I'm upset, I'm mad, I'm frustrated. What is that doing to my students when I walk into that classroom? Because I'm already mad, frustrated, and beaten down. And here I have in front of me a captive audience of children that I'm responsible for educating. And I can't, because I'm already I'm dumped on. And because it rolls downhill, it becomes a trickle down effect and not in a good way.
Word up. Yeah, I definitely could see that. And I was just, looking on the internet earlier, because I saw a post, like after I made my post, I saw Tammy Cooper, who used to organize the Juneteenth festival in our city. She doesn't live here any longer, but she posed basically the same type of question, because she does like life coaching and stuff like that. And someone commented with this quote: 13 inspiring traits of exceptional leaders. I'll just run through them real quick.
Okay.
They trust you to do the job you've been hired to do. They seek your advice and input. They find opportunities to let you shine. They recognize your contributions. They have your back during tough times. They are master storytellers. They challenge you to do bigger and better things. They express appreciation. That's real key. They are responsive. Second real big key. They know when to apologize, which is hard for most people to apologize for.
Right. We did a whole show about that.
Yeah. But like we said, this is exceptional leaders here. They give credit where credit is due. How many times have you seen leaders have you do all this work and then they like, look what I did. Look what I did.
Don't even get me started. You having PTSD memories popping in my head. Don't do that.
They treat others with dignity. They treat others with dignity and respect. And lastly, which is the top jewel, they care.
Yes.
Now, we were talking about, I think it was on our panel. Shout out, we didn't even tell everybody about the panel. That's where we've been for the 2 weeks. We hope that you were at our live show. If you weren't, we didn't skip weeks, but we did 2 live shows that weren't recorded. We thought that they were going to be recorded, but they weren't. But we went on with the show. But we were talking about, we talked a little bit about this big battle that happened. I don't even think this made the stage. We were talking either before or after our hip hop show, where we were talking about Jadakiss and why he was so great at the battle is because he cares about his craft. And if you're in a leadership position, which he's considered, like in most cases, the leader of that group, the Locks. But if you're in any type of leader position, you have to care about the job itself. And if you care about the job, you're going to care about the people that are helping you with this job. In your case, you work in schools. If you're a principal, you're going to care about the staff that is carrying out this work of education, because you care about education. It's the only reason you should be a principal is not to be in management, not to be a boss of a company or corporation. The only reason you should be a principal in school is because you care about the education of the future adults in this society. It's the only reason. If you don't care about that, you need to get out of education. And I think that goes for superintendents or people who sit on school boards. We've been so focused on business and numbers and figures. The only essential thing when it comes to education should be education. Period. We have too many people wanting them. And yes, money makes the world go around, blah, 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 figures, blah, 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 numbers, statistics. You have to have a passion for helping people to become educated. Period. If not, please do the world a favor and stop being in education. Yes. Stop it. Because you're false. You are the devil in this scenario. You are a distraction if your main thing is not passion for education. Period.
I
I'll
agree.
leave that there.
I agree. I actually made a Facebook status a few weeks ago about that, and I basically said that, you know, if you're not in it to win it for all children and you really don't care, then please move out the way, because you're in the way of real educators. You are in the way of those of us who take the time to get better at our craft, to learn more about our craft, and really invest the time and energy and effort into being great educators. So I said the same thing. Get out of our way. You're literally in my way. Like if you think about driving a car, you have those people who on a Monday morning while everybody's trying to drive to work, which they're the hustle and bustle of Monday morning traffic. If you've been in it, if you know, you know. And then you have somebody who's driving a 1922 Oldsmobile and they're driving like it's a Sunday afternoon. Well, you have the right to drive your car like it's a leisurely Sunday afternoon, but get out of my way because I got to get to work, or I have to get to this place, or I have to get my child to school, whatever. So it's kind of like the same analogy. You have your right to enjoy your car and have it and love it. You have the right to be in a field that you think you like. But if you really don't have the passion for it, and you really don't invest the time and energy and the effort into it, then please get out of the field. You are doing a disservice to yourself. And that's not good self-care, to be in a job that you feel stuck in, a job that you really don't like, a job that's not fulfilling you. You need to get out of the field. You also need to get out of the field because you are doing a disservice to children. And I sat down with a parent on Friday at open house, and I said, she said to me, she said, I can tell you're passionate about your work. And I told her I absolutely am. And I told her that I often tell people that when I lose my passion, I'll go be a greeter at Walmart, or I'll go bag groceries at Kroger or something. I refuse to stay in the field where I'm going to do a disservice to a child because I'm burnt out. I'm too tired. I don't have it anymore. And even if that means I haven't reached tenure or retirement age, as soon as the passion is gone, I'm leaving the field because I never want to do a disservice. I never want to be a bad leader to the students that I serve. So before I become a bad leader, I'll walk away.
And that's key to what we're talking about, especially when it comes to like, you know, the principal, superintendent, and like in your case, is that you have to take care of your employees or the teachers that work under you to help them not lose that passion. You know, because the world is a lot different than, you know, when we were growing up, and kids are different. And so there's a lot of trying things that could get to you. And the last thing you need is a bad leader.
Right.
On your back, that monkey on your back, you know, and not just in education, and that's in any field. Right,
in any field. And if you think about like you were saying, the state of the world that we're in today, you know, the whole world is a ball of tension. Everybody's upset. Everybody's on edge. Mental health crises are skyrocketing. You know, we're still in the middle of a global pandemic. We have essentially a war that is going on in another country right now. We have still Black people in this country being beat on and being oppressed in astronomical ways. So the world as a whole could really just use a little more kindness and a little bit more humanity. Yeah, you're a boss. Yeah, you're a leader. But does that mean you have to walk in like this and being a leader and being a boss? Or can you ease back? Take some of that tension out of yourself and see what it does for you as a person. Then see what it does for you as a leader and those who follow you. And this is in any field. As we continuously talk about self-care and this mental health care and protection, we're serious about that. And when I'm talking to people about it, I'm so serious about it. I'm so passionate about it because I believe that at the end of the day, all we have is our humanity. When the money is gone, fancy cars, fancy houses, and all those things are gone, we as a people only have people. So we have to take care of people.
The mindfulness minute for today. And we shouldn't be working against each other. We should be working together, you know, like hands. They work together. Like I said, like feet, like the upper and lower row of your teeth. They work together, not against each other. And I think that we've lost that, and that's what we need. You have the vaxxers going against the anti-vaxxers. You know, like you said, there's so much tension that it is a time that we definitely learn about love, peace, and compassion. And that's what we're here trying to add our few cents to that, to bring a little bit more balance, because the news is always negative, always down, always depressing. So if you want to help share the light, make sure that you tell your friends about the podcast, even if they can't listen to the podcast all the time. We post daily, simple, effective, little to no cost things that you can do every day just to improve self, just to bring a little bit more love, peace, and compassion in the world. And you can share those with your friends. Like I said, just go to the Facebook page, Fly With Us Podcast, scroll down to you where it says invite friends, and invite your friends, especially your friends that you know have been going through it for however long. Invite them. Or you could just take the daily self-care assignments and just send it to them in a message. And we encourage you to listen to the show every week, and just spread the word. It's time that we do better in this world. And like we always say, you can't pour from an empty cup. So, you know, work on self. Work on self. And I just was watching earlier, shout out to S. Ali Myers, who was on our second day panel of our live last weekend. And he had a live this morning on YouTube about your life purpose, finding your purpose. And it was just coincidental that was also our self-care assignment on our page today, Sunday, the 29th, was about, you know, ask yourself about your life purpose. And the self-care assignment says that your life purpose is separate from your job. Yes, we all have to work for money, but your life purpose is something that is about love, compassion, and drive, like we've been talking about on this episode. So really dive into self and become a master of self, and live for your purpose. You know, so that's going to be what today's self-care assignment, this week's self-care assignment is going to be. Write down the things, top 5 things that you are compassionate, have love, and bring you joy. Top 5 things that you're compassionate about, that you love, and bring you joy. And that will be the first step into finding your purpose. Word up. Now let's jump into my favorite part of the show. Doom, 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 doom. Brain science, science, science.
All right. So as we've been talking about leaders and leadership and connecting with people, I'm going to tell you the science behind leaders connect with their teams, how you can use brain science to make yourself a better leader for those that you lead. So research shows that in leaderless groups, leaders emerge by quickly synchronizing their brain waves with followers through high quality conversations. Simply put, synchrony is a neural process where the frequency and scale of brain waves of people become in sync. Verbal communication plays a large role in synchronization, especially between leaders and followers. Synchrony between leaders and followers leads to mutual understanding, cooperation, coordinated execution of tasks, and collective creativity, which is what we want in a workforce. So how do we do that? Motivation to synchronize matters. This is your presence. Communicators who synchronize easily are motivated to do so. When they do, people who benefit from this motivation recognize the synchrony and feel more connected. Multiple brain regions are activated in them. Regions involved in social understanding activate, helping them feel more understood. And the regions involved in the expansion of one sense of self to include the other are also activated, thereby enhancing the connection. Being present starts with consciously deciding to synchronize. You then take the time to understand what other people are feeling, and you walk in their shoes to understand their points of view. You can do this mindfully by simply observing the feelings in yourself and the other person without being judgmental. When you do this, your brain is more likely to synchronize with theirs. Deep self-connection enhances synchrony. This is the wholeness part of the connection. Becoming a leader is synonymous with becoming yourself. It's precisely that simple, and it's also that difficult. On the surface, this definition seems to ignore the other. Some may even think of it as selfish. Yet we can activate the best to others when we activate the best in ourselves. And that is something we talk about on our show a lot, is when you take care of you and you're making yourself your best self, it is a lot easier to make others their best self. So one way to increase this interpersonal synchrony is through a thing called reverie. With this technique, leaders set aside time for rambling, self-reflection in the presence of followers. Not well-sculpted thoughts and ideas, strategies, to-do lists, but make it more sincere and emergent ideas. Counterintuitively, this increases the interpersonal connection. Leaders and followers become more connected and synchronous. This happens because a brain region called the mirror neuron system activates, indicating automatic resonance with the other person. Also, the default mode network activates, causing the mental state of the other to be represented in the leader. Think of these as feeling for and feeling like. Networks of empathy, it integrates both. The last one, the mind and body connection. This is resonance. Actual physical synchrony to music makes people like each other more, remember each other better, and also trust each other more. In fact, even as early as 14 months of age, children who are bounced in synchrony with an adult are more altruistic. They pick up objects the adults have dropped and give it back. One way that organizations can take advantage of this principle is to organize workshops with musical experiences where people move to the music together. Thus, the motivations to synchronize mindfully, coupled with feelings that followers feel, walking in their shoes, conversing in reverie states, mind wandering, actual physical synchronization, all enhance the synchrony between leaders and followers. When designing an off-site meeting, these activities can be creatively included and practiced with the view to finding a context for them in day-to-day work. So be a good leader. In order to be a good leader, know yourself, connect with the human side of your quote unquote followers, because you've connected with the human side of yourself.
Word up. Definitely. And if you would like to follow us, you can find us on Facebook, IG, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and you can listen to us anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. That's our show for this week. Once again, we want to thank everybody that came out to the Dayton African American Cultural Festival this year. We look forward to being a part of it next year. We had 2 great live shows. I hope you were there to see it. If not, I know one of them we're going to do an extended version of, because we were so deep that we could have probably talked for 4 or 5 hours. And that was our show Saturday, which was about the psychological effects of hip hop on the community. So look for that in November. We're back recording shows. We'll be back every week. If you would like to come on the show, just send us an email at flywithusla@gmail.com or hit us up on Facebook. It's your boy Picket Fence.
And I'm Lady Bounce. And if you're on our social media sites, don't forget to cop some merch. We got new shirts. We've got can koozies and cup holders. We've got buttons and stickers and keychains. Cop some Picket Fence gear. Cop some Fly With Us gear. Help us continue to support our podcast and the things that we love.
Word up. And you can also become a patron, and you can find that information on our Facebook. You can, for as little as $1 a month, you can help us to help you. We out of here.
Peace.
Peace.